Hey card making friends, it's Sandi here. Welcome back to my channel. I was cleaning up my studio this morning and I was putting away all of the October club kits from Spellbinders, and I decided I wanted to have one more play with it. So I have combined Cozy Toe Slippers, Festive Friends, and Christmas Blooms from a while ago to create today's card. I don't know if you've noticed, but over on the Spellbinders website, these have now moved to new for November because the club is over, so you don't need to be a club member to buy them. To speed this video up a little bit, I have pre-cut my cute little guys, and I will tell you about them just as you watch me work through them. Right now, I am cutting the stems off of the holly, and that was cut out of leaf green. And then I'm taking Distressed Oxide inks and Rustic Wilderness and a small blending brush and adding a little bit of detail just so that there's some shadows. I think this really adds to your die cutting if you add a little bit of ink blending around the edges and, into some of the nooks and crannies and the creases. It makes it a lot more interesting and adds a lot more depth to your image. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit for you here. And I cut the main part of Rudolph out of the cardstock Dune from Spellbinders. And I'm adding some gathering twigs, Distressed Oxide inks just around the edge of him, and then I'm going a little bit deeper with his horns, and then there's an inlay for his ears, and I'm going to hold on to that with my tweezers because they're just little tiny guys, and adding a bunch of dark brown there because you want the contrast. Okay, so go light as you're going around Rudolph and then get darker with these other two pieces. Okay, so now we're going to add our little bits to him. I'm going to flip him over and add some Scotch tape to the back, and that will make the little parts on the front where I'm going to do some inlays, they'll be sticky. So I'm just adding as small a piece as I can possibly get, and then I'm going to take my small curved scissors and I'm just going to go around the outside edge and trim off any of the excess overhang. Okay, and then it's really easy for me to use my embellishment wand and pick up these little pieces and pop them right into those little spots. So I'm going to start with the eyes, and I cut them out of black. Okay, and then the ears, we just colored those a few minutes ago. So those little pieces go in there. And then for the next couple bits, we're going to glue them on as soon as I get this little guy in here straight. I colored the wrong side of him. Okay, so time out. We need to bring back the ink and we need to color the other side. Sorry about that. Sometimes they get flipped over and these little pieces are so small, you can't really tell which side's the good side. Okay, so fix that up. Got his ear done. So I'm using the Barely Art glue for the fine tip, and we're going to add 2 or 3 little daubs of glue on his nose, and I have that pre-cut in black. So there ends up being 3 reindeers on here. The center one is Rudolph, so he's obviously got the red nose, and then I did a black nose on the other 2 for his buddies. Okay, so we're going to attach the horns, and if you look at the top of the die cut of the head of Rudolph, there is a little indentation line there that shows you where the antlers go. Okay, so you just add a little bit of glue to that and then pop them in place. And there he is. Isn't he cute? So to embellish him a little bit for the holidays, that is why I did the holly and the little berries. And I'm going to cut one of these foam squares really, really, really tiny because I want to put foam on the back of all these little pieces. And they are really small. And that's why I went with the Christmas Blooms. It had the smallest little holly and berries that I could find in my stash anyway. You could probably look on Spellbinders and find quite a few of them. Okay, so we're adding just a little dab of glue, and so what I did is the glue is going to be the bottom of the leaf, so it's going to be flat, and then it's going to stick up a little bit and become 3D because I put that little piece of foam on behind at the top of each of the leaves. So you want to overlap them in the center, and I've got it stuck to my paper. Okay, I got them unstuck, so we're carrying on, adding 3 little berries. So I've got the ink there, or the glue, and then I'm just using my embellishment wand and adding 3 little berries, making sure they're stuck down, not stuck to my finger. And then I have a number 10 white gel pen, And I'm going to add just some little highlights on the right side of the berries, and then a couple of spots on the leaves, and then across the top of his nose, just like that. Isn't he cute? I really like this die set. Okay, so here you go. Here's Rudolph, and then here are his two little friends. And they're all made exactly the same way. I'm pointing to the little Santa hat that came out of the Festive Friends, and there's two pieces, okay? And you just cut them out, pop them together, and then I attach them with foam tape so that they stuck up a little bit. And I'm just going to add the little nose highlight. It's always right on my finger to get my gel pen going. That's why I have white marks all the time on my finger. Hey, it works. Okay. I like that little spot going right across there. Okay, so now we're ready to do the card part. Okay, so for the background of this card, I decided that I was going to emboss it, and I'm using the Joyful Candy Canes embossing folder. That's also from October, and it is beautiful. I did it in black, and these pieces do not fit on an A2 size card, so I have stepped up to a 5x7, and I'm just showing you here that the top layer of the 3 H's that I'm going to use, I also popped inside the embossing folder and emboss them, and each of those H's are cut 3 times. I've glued them together, so there's 2 flat ones for underneath, and then I'm topping it with the one that I embossed. Okay, so that's a nice way of adding dimension without having foam squares on the back, and it's more solid, so you don't see the white from the sides. And I just realized that I put it on backwards, upside down. They are not exactly the same width cut in the center. One of them is longer than the other. So just a heads up on that one. Okay, so my card front panel is 5x7, and it's going over top of a white card base, which is 7x10 scored and folded at 5.5. And I like to use my score buddy to line these up. So I'm going to pop my folded card in and push it right up to that top left-hand corner. There's a little ridge there that holds everything in place. And I'm using my tape runner to add some adhesive to the back of the red. And this is Pomegranate Red from Spellbinders. I don't think I told you that. Okay, so there's my card front, and then now I've got my front panel, and because it's embossed, I'm going to use tear tape, and then that way I'm not pushing down on it as hard as I would if I was using a tape runner, and that allows it so it doesn't squish it. Okay, and this black piece is 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, so it's going to allow 1/4 of an inch to show all the way around of the red peeking out underneath. Are you shocked that I'm doing a card in traditional Christmas colors? There's no green, there's no blue. I thought this was kind of fun. I actually got the color idea from something that I'm cross-stitching right now, a little pillow for little decoration, and it uses all these colors. Okay, so I'm just dry fitting everything, or as I like to say, auditioning, where I want everything to go. I'm kind of lining everything up. And what I like to do is kind of place them all and then start from the middle. So I have foam squares all the way, and I'm, again, as I said, starting from the center, and then that way you can kind of work as you're going out top and bottom, making sure that they're equally distanced apart so that they look nice and uniform. So I'm lining up all of the little reindeers first, because that's going to determine where the H's go for the ho ho ho. Aren't they cute? I just love this card. I think I might keep it, mail it to myself. Okay, so because we already have 3 layers of cardstock for the H's, I'm just going to add adhesive to the back. So barely art glue. And you want to make sure these are straight. And the other reason I'm using the glue is it gives me a couple of seconds to move it around, just in case I don't get it on there quite straight. If I'm using foam squares, not so much. Once it's stuck, it's stuck. And because the bottom is embossed, it's broken all the fibers down, so if I try and pull it up, it's going to tear my little black panel underneath. Okay, so there we go. Got them all on there. Now I am going to lay a couple of acrylic handles on top just to get everything glued in spot. Okay, everything's adhered nicely, so got rid of the handles, and I have one little reindeer left over, so I've decided I'm going to glue him inside the card, and then I can write a little something to somebody around him. Isn't he cute? And I'm not using any foam for him because I want him to lie flat. So here's the finished card. I really like the detail. I like the embossing on the H's. I like the embossing in the background. I seriously thought about doing some splatter, but I held back. And I still don't know. Maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. Okay, so I've linked everything that I've used today underneath this video. There's also a link over to my blog where you can get all the cutting instructions for the card. And thank you so much for stopping in and visiting me today. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving me a thumbs up. And here's another video I thought you might like.